Okay. Now everything seems to have boiled over. Mackerel. Eleanor. This RSVP note was from E. Mackerel, and it's marked yes. So Eleonora was definitely planning to party in the chateau. Maybe the mobster's daughter knows something about the murder. We should ask her about it, but remember to stay friendly, Matthew. Matthew, Carrie, I didn't know you were coming to the garden party of the year. You guys could have made more of an effort with your Versailles-themed outfits, though. Just look at me. You really do look amazing, Eleonora, but I'm afraid we're here on business, not pleasure. Don't know if you've heard, but the chateau's owner was just found murdered. What? But I literally just saw Marguerite swanning around the party, and now she's dead? This brings back memories of what happened to some of my dad's business partners. So you didn't see or hear anything related to the murder? Nah, I was too busy having fun. Well, I'm afraid the garden party is going to be cut short while we investigate the murder. And if you say that Miss D'Anjou is here, then Senior Trooper Matthew and I had better take a look around for clues. Wow, Matthew, this party looks like it was real fancy. Almost as fancy as this diplomatic passport. Figuring out the passport's owner might give us a lead. And this posh dessert is called a croquembouche. Hugo was telling me about it the other day. If he thinks something's hiding within its balls of sweetness, we should pick through it. That is something you would never find me eating ever. Republic of Mazunda? Taking us back to the World Edition. Looks like we have royalty in our midst, because this passport belongs to Crown Prince Amadou of Mazunda. Mazunda's that country in Africa, right? We should find out how Prince Amadou ended up so far from home, Matthew. Excuse me, your, Royal Highness? Yeah, that's me, Amadou, the Fresh Prince of Mazunda. Man, I'm so pumped my dad let me come to Paris on my own. There are so many hot chicks everywhere. Marguerite's murder kind of put a damper on things, though. Did you know Marguerite well? Yeah, she's an old friend of my dad, the King of Mazunda. She invited me to chill with her in the chateau. I hope I don't have to go back home now that she's dead. Is it true that Marguerite's head is missing? That's so sick! Your Highness, the most important thing here is that we apprehend Mrs. D'Anjou's murder before they strike again. So please stay on the premises in case we have any further questions. That was easy. The handkerchief that was hiding under the croquembouche smells distinctly of chloroform, Matthew. It must be what the killer used to make the victim unconscious before beheading her. Let's get the killer's stinky rag to Enzo for analysis. 3 hours? Yep. I'll let these two run their courses, so for now, this is Matthew. I'll catch you later. Okay, we are back. Let's get the results of the victim's body right now. Matthew, have you seen the High Commissioner recently? I texted him to say he could console himself within my ample bosoms, but no reply. He's probably at home. He told us he was taking the day off after we came across his friend's decapitated body. The poor guy was really cut up about Marguerite D'Anjou's murder. Beheadings are horrifying enough when you don't know the victim. Yes, although I must say I enjoy the challenge posed by autopsying a headless corpse. The weapon used to decapitate her must have been quite sharp. 3 hacks and boom, off with her head. And Carrie, you were correct in suspecting that the killer used chloroform to knock out the victim before beheading her, because I noticed traces of the chemical on her neck. Good to know I can rely on my sense of smell. Yes, but you clearly don't have a French nose yet, because otherwise you'd have also caught a whiff or another of another substance on the body, champagne. The notes of honeysuckle and orange blossom identify it as Pompette champagne, coming from your victim's very own vineyards. Since I found traces on her neck and shoulders where the killer would have had to hold her while hacking her head off, we could conclude that they partake in this particular brand of bubbly. Well, our killer definitely won't be getting a Pompette champagne reception to welcome them to prison, Matthew. Carrie, do you find tennis sexy? Well, I've always had a thing for men in tight shorts, but that's not a topic to discuss at work. Could we focus on the killer's handkerchief instead, Enzo? But that was exactly what I was focusing on, ma belle. Because that chloroform-soaked hanky was hiding a sporty secret. You see, I'm a member of the tennis club right near Chateau Pompette, which is how I know that this handkerchief is a welcome gift given to members and their guests. Therefore, you're making your killer a tennis player just like me. Carrie, let me know if you ever want to see me in my little shorts. I'll be sure to. But for now, Matthew and I will be concentrating on winning game, set, and match against our tennis-playing killer. Matthew, we came to Chateau Pompette to get pally with Eleonora Macaron, but we end up investigating the murder of the hostess, whose head we have yet to find. We've met the victim's son, who was doing his best to keep a stiff upper lip. Then there's the Crown Prince of Mazunda, who seemed mostly worried that the murder would mean he'd have to cut short his fun trip to Paris. We also had a chat with Eleonora, who says she was too busy partying to notice anything about the victim's death. Matthew, did you hear that scream? Sounds like someone's in trouble. And we'll see you guys for Chapter 2, A Party Like It's 1699. We have returned. Let's start Chapter 2, A Party Like It's 1699. And we still haven't found our head. Oh, this is it. Matthew, did you hear that scream? Someone must be in trouble. It sounds like it came from inside the castle. Quick, let's go help them. I heard another scream, Matthew, and I'm pretty sure it came from this kitchen. Mon Dieu! Madam, are you okay? Human head in sack. Amandine Brioche, that's the name. Oh god, the poor woman fainted. And she's right. I see a head poking out of that sack. It's gotta be our victim's head. I'll let you pick it up while I try to revive this lady. And since the killer was here, you should look around the kitchen for more clues, too. Got it. Good news, Matthew. I managed to revive the woman who fainted. Her name is Amandine Brioche, and she's the head chef at the castle. We'll need to question her once she's fully recovered. Let's hope we have stronger stomachs than Amandine when we fish the head out of this sack of vegetables. And this broken metal looks like a badge of sorts. Fixing it up could prove useful. So let's do it. Oh boy, there it is. Yikes! The victim's head was in the sack alright, Matthew. God, it's gross. Let's get it to Nadia before I throw up. Oh boy. See du Chateau. This is a sommelier badge, which means its owner, C. Duchateau, is a wine expert. Cedric Duchateau. We should find out if Mr. Duchateau can tell us anything about the murder. Mr. Duchateau, I believe this is your badge. Do you work at the chateau? Merci. I was wondering where the silly thing had gone. Oui, I used to work in the USA, but I had to return to the motherland. I couldn't bear another second of explaining the difference between a Bordeaux and a Bourgeois to American ignoramuses. Also, Madame d'Anjou is a très generous employer. She lets me drink Pompette champagne to my heart's content and gives me an hour off every Wednesday to play tennis. Sir, haven't you heard that your boss has been murdered? Zut alors, non! I have been down in the wine cellar all afternoon. Mais, quelle horreur! She is not the first of my mistress to be killed. I must be cursed. Miss Brioche, are you feeling better? Okay to talk to us? Oui, the half bottle of Pompette I just downed has done wonders for my nerves. Officers, I've seen all manner of weird things in my culinary career. Cow brains, pig trotters, fish eyeballs, but a human's the cake. Do you have any idea how it got into your sack? Not at all. I must have just been in my own world stirring my pots when the killer came and unceremoniously dumped my poor mistress's head in among my vegetables. Just thinking of it is making me nauseous. I think I'd better go outside and get some fresh air before I pass out again. And I'll see you guys in the victim's head as runner's course. See y'all soon. Okay, we've returned. Let's get the results of the victim's head. Matthew, I can see why the High Commissioner had a romantic liaison with your victim. Her features are remarkably symmetrical. Apart from the beauty of her severed head, is there anything else you noticed? Is that a hint of sarcasm I note in your voice, Carrie? We Parisians must be rubbing off on you after all. To answer your question, I discovered a pink powder nestled within Madame d'Anjou's luscious looks. Further testing of the powder revealed it to be crushed morsels of sexy beast, an aphrodisiac pill. Of course, I am in no need of such enhancers to get my loins fired up, but your killer obviously is, and must have deposited some on the victim while disposing of her head. So our killer takes aphrodisiac pills, Matthew. Arresting them won't help their mojo, that's for sure. Now, why don't we go have our own fun between the sheets by checking for more clues in the victim's bedroom? Matthew, this is a drawing of someone holding up a decapitated head. Knowing how our victim died makes this comic highly incriminating. We need to take a sample of that brown powder left on it. And this must be our victim's diary. Her initials are on it. Let's crack that lock. Moment, folks. Alright. I answered the phone, but took care of that already. Now let's get this out of the way. Got my lunch waiting for me. Oh, and how appropriate that. Posh and sexy. Oh boy. That sounds so typical. Matthew, we normally send diaries to the High Commissioner to profile, but he's too close to our victim. Let's see if the Chief can help sift through Marguerite d'Anjou's deepest secrets instead. That took long. Let's take a closer look at these brown particles from the beheading drawing, Matthew. I think I know this first one. Yep. Coffee from Mazunda. Hey, that's the prince. This brown powder from the sketch was Mazundan coffee grains, Matthew. We know of one other Mazundan national hanging out at the chateau. You're right. Prince Amadou had better have a good explanation for this violent picture. Senior Trooper Matthew, I heard you found Marguerite's head in a sack of vegetables. Can I see it? Prince Amadou, it's clear that you have an unhealthy interest in beheadings. Care to explain this sketch? Isn't it cool? I love drawing comics. The more violent, the better. I knew that the French used to be into chopping people's heads off, so I thought I'd give this masterpiece of mine to Marguerite as a thank you present for letting me stay with her. But the lady got kind of mad when she saw it.
saying something about half her family having lost their heads during the French Revolution. Luckily, my homeboy Louis took me to play tennis while his mom stopped being all hysterical and stuff. Well, Prince Amadou, let's hope we don't find out that you like to act out beheadings in addition to drawing them. Probably wouldn't hurt a fly. But I've seen stranger things happen. I'll let the victim's diary run its course. For now, this is Matthew. I'll see you again soon. Okay, we are back. Let's get the results of the victim's diary right now. Hey Chief, how's your dad doing? Not so well. He may claim that he and Marguerite d'Anjou had a fleeting romantic dalliance, but I know that she and my mother are the only two women he's ever loved. This makes it more important than ever to find out who murdered Mrs. d'Anjou. Did her diary offer up any leads? While most of Marguerite's journal contained run-of-the-mill details such as the time of her next hair appointment or how her favorite horse fared at the last race. But one recent diary entry made it clear that she was furious with none other than her own son. She wrote, "Louis is a good-for-nothing of the highest proportion. What did I do to deserve such an ungrateful progeny?" You're right, Chief. The victim definitely didn't seem happy with her son. Matthew, we better ask him why. Mr. d'Anjou, we found your mom's diary, and according to her, you were ungrateful and a good-for-nothing. What was that all about? Oh, how shameful to have to air my family's dirty laundry in such a public way. The truth is, we d'Anjous may look wealthy living in this magnificent chateau, but we are actually dirt poor. I'd known about our paltry coffers for a while, but I just couldn't stop living the life of a playboy aristocrat. So there I was, guzzling Pompette champagne and popping sexy beast pills like there was no tomorrow, putting the family even more into debt. It caused huge arguments between my dearest maman and I, so much so that she finally decided to completely cut my allowance until I learned to control myself. This garden party was supposed to be my last hurrah. But since she's dead, there's nothing stopping you from accessing the funds anymore, is there? Indeed. However, I now owe it to my mother's legacy to stop our family from going under. I'm a changed man, Senior Trooper Matthew. We'll find out, because he is possible. Matthew, turns out that looks can be deceiving. The d'Anjous may seem like they're rolling in money when in fact they're in debt. Could Louis have murdered his mother for cutting him off financially? Then there's Prince Amadou, who seems a little too obsessed with beheadings for my liking. We've now also met the castle chef, who found our victim's head, and the d'Anjou sommelier. We need only a few more clues to... You live in a fancy chateau off the Boulevard Saint-Michel. Your loveliness goes on and on, Marguerite. Yes, it does. Hi, Commissioner! Are you drunk? Oh my. We'll sort this out in Chapter 3. Don't go anywhere. We have returned. Let's start Chapter 3, A Party Like It's 1699. Matthew, we've now got a number of suspects with potential motives for chopping off Marguerite d'Anjou's head. No, I need a few more... Oh yeah, this is where the last left off on. Hi, Commissioner, we thought you'd gone home. Your loveliness goes on and on, Marguerite. Yes, it does. Are you drunk? Not at all, my dear. Matthew, why are there two of you? Okay, sir, you're definitely 3 sheets to the wind and then some. Matthew, we can't leave the High Commissioner in this state. I'm gonna have to call his son to come and pick him up. And we're running out of time to catch Marguerite D'Anjou's killer, so we'd better make another sweep at the garden party. Phone rang, but my grandma picked it up. Okay, I got it. I finally managed to coax the High Commissioner into the Chief's car, Matthew. Hope he's gonna be okay. As for our investigation, I see you found one of the party guests' camcorders. We should unlock it. And we have a letter addressed to our victim, but the rest of the writing is all blurry. I'll grab your dusting kit. This broken plate could also be a clue. I agree. We need to glue it back together. Matthew, you saw the state of the High Commissioner. The only thing we can do to help him is to find his former lover's killer stat. Matthew, now you've unlocked the camcorder, let's ask Emil to check it for any footage relating to the case. Okay, got it. Alright, Matthew, let's see what's written on the plate you put back together. It says to Eleonora for Marguerite, commemorating 15 wasted years. So this plate was a present from our victim to Eleonora Macaron to celebrate time being wasted? That sounds super weird, I agree. We need to find out more from Eleonora. Darlings, fun fact, if you throw some sexy beasts into your Pompey champers, you get double the buzz. Okay, but listen, we need to talk about this plate Marguerite d'Anjou had gifted you. What does she mean by 15 wasted years? Ugh, what she really meant was 15 years of shoving her prejudice in my face. You see, my dad's been sending me to Marguerite for lessons on etiquette since I was 10. Which is when the beastly woman first started mocking me for my common origins and never stopped. It affected me so much that I even stopped going to the tennis club for a while, simply because I was ashamed of my lack of noble blood. Nowadays, I don't give a hoot about my roots, but Marguerite clearly still loved to humiliate me, telling me it would be impossible to teach me sophistication, no matter how many etiquette lessons I took. But she's headless and I'm still alive, so who's laughing now? Got it. A resignation letter? Matthew, this is a resignation letter to our victim from Cedric Duchateau. He writes, "It is with the greatest of displeasure that I submit my resignation as sommelier for the inimitable estate of Chateau Pompey. Yours indignantly, Monsieur Cedric Duchateau, Esquire." With words like displeasure and indignantly, it doesn't sound like Duchateau was leaving on good terms. We better ask him what happened. Mr. Duchateau, when we last spoke, you seemed pretty happy working at Chateau Pompey. So what's with this letter of resignation? I was extremely happy working here until Madame d'Anjou insulted me in the most unforgivable manner. Mrs. d'Anjou insulted you? How so? Senior Trooper Matthew, my skills as a sommelier are priceless, and yet the infuriating woman thought it correct to disrespect me by cutting my salary. Said I was costing her too much. What's more, I have a penchant for the finer things in life, but with this horrific decrease in earnings, I'd barely have money to buy the necessities, like my sexy beast pilules. But when I pleaded my case to Madame d'Anjou, she did not care a fig and told me I could leave if I was not happy with her decision. Oh la la, I hope I can find another job quickly. I don't want to have to go back to America. I'll let the unlocked camcorder run its course. I'll see you when that's done. Okay, we are back. Let's get the results of the unlocked camcorder from Emil. Matthew, guess what? I've got myself a date with one of the girls I've been chatting to online. She's a tech geek like me and everything. Oh, that's great, Emil, but we'll have to talk about it later. For now, can you tell us what you found on the camcorder from our victim's party? Ah, oui. Sorry, I almost did an Enzo there, launching into romantic fantasies when there's work to be done. The footage showed most people having a pleasant time at the garden party, but then the piece was shattered by an altercation between your victim and a member of her staff. Take a look for yourself. Must we really go through this again? But madame, you really have no idea what you're missing. Amandine, I'm telling you for the last time to leave me the hell alone. Just you wait, madame. I'll get my way in the end. Oh, wow. I wonder what made Mrs. D'Anjou so mad with her chef. Yeah, and what does your suspect mean by saying she'd get her way in the end? There's only one way to find out, and that's to demand some answers from Amandine Brioche herself. Come on, Matthew. Senior Trooper Matthew, won't you try some of my intensely dark gâteau au chocolat? Making dessert is my greatest comfort when things go wrong. Then you must have baked up a storm after your argument with Mrs. D'Anjou at the party. How did you find out about that? Look, if there's one thing I like more than cooking, it's making sweet love. I even take aphrodisiac pills to increase my already substantial libido. And as you can imagine, with a face and body like mine, I've had great success gaining lovers, both male and female. But the one person who absolutely refused to succumb to my charms was Marguerite D'Anjou. It drove me insane. And I'm afraid to say that my incessant efforts led the madame to lash out at me at the party. Well, Miss Brioche, let's hope we don't find out that you lashed out in return by killing your madame. Well, Matthew, turns out a lot of people had beef with the now headless Marguerite D'Anjou. Her sommelier felt highly insulted when she decided to cut his pay, while her head chef couldn't accept that she didn't want to go to bed with her. As for Eleonora Macaron, our victim has been mocking her lack of noble roots ever since she was a child. I'm not surprised that she's mad about that. You're right, we just need a couple more clues to decide which of our suspects was actually driven to commit decapitation. And since we know the killer was in the castle kitchen, maybe we'll find our answers there. Let's go. Hopefully we'll be able to collect coins again. I guess you could say that COVID-19 has been spreading virtually, but I don't want to go that route. Got it. Matthew, these are sexy beast pills, which you know the killer takes. Let's get a sample of that brown gloop on the packet. And this crate of wild game almost makes you want to turn vegetarian. Let's pick through it fast. Got it. The dead animals are hiding this bloody meat cleaver, Matthew. It doesn't look like it's been used on the game, but it's definitely sharp enough to hack off someone's head. I agree. There's only one way to find out if this cleaver's our murder weapon, and that's to send it to Enzo. We need to get this brown substance from the aphrodisiac pill packet straight to Enzo, Matthew. And I'll see you when these two are done. So for now, this is Matthew. See you soon. And we're home free. Or we're back, I should say. If there's also put a killer behind bars. Carrie, when will you finally go on a date with me? Haven't you already got your hands full flirting with Lola Dumarie? Ma Belle, you'll soon realize that I am very good at multitasking. See, I even had time to analyze the meat cleaver you sent me. Well, that's something at least. Was the blood on it our victims? It was indeed. Which means your killer used this very implement to decapitate your victim. You found your murder weapon. There wasn't just blood left on the cleaver. I also found minuscule fibers, which upon further examination turned out to be quality chantilly lace. And since your victim wasn't wearing any lace, it had to have come from your killer. Our lace-adorned killer may be sartorially elegant, but that won't win them any favors in the courtroom, Matthew. Now the brown substance. Matthew, I know you're short on time in your investigation, so I'll get straight to the point. First off, that brown substance you sent me from the pill packet had traces of Pompet champagne in it, which confirms that the pills belong to our killer. Exact amount. And secondly, the brown stuff was a balm to appease chins and necks irritated by stubble. Which means that you're looking for a killer with a stylish 5 o'clock shadow, just like mine. Well, let's just hope our killer's personality won't be as prickly as their face when we arrest them, Matthew. Right, Matthew. We've now amassed enough evidence to arrest the person who hacked off Marguerite D'Anjou's head with a meat cleaver. Let's go. Well, I'll be. Pretty sure I'm right here. Yes. 5 o'clock shadow I'm not quite familiar with because I don't have any facial hair. Louis D'Anjou, how could you murder your own mother, and in such a violent manner, no less? Goodness me, it would be impossible for me to even dream of beheading my own flesh and blood, especially after what happened to my ancestors during the French Enough of your history lessons, Mr. D'Anjou. Now, we found your tennis club handkerchief, the very one you used to knock your mother out with chloroform. You then proceeded to cut off her head using a meat cleaver from the kitchen, didn't you? But that wasn't enough, because you then went back to the kitchen and unceremoniously dumped the head in a sack of vegetables. In retrospect, it was disrespectful to my dearest maman, I must admit. So you admit you killed her? I'm afraid so. I had to. You see, I wasn't lying when I said we had no money left in our coffers, which is why I came up with the brilliant idea to turn Chateau Pompette into a luxury bed and breakfast. You've seen my castle. People would sell their grandmother to experience the exquisite life of a noble, even for one night. But my mother wasn't having any of it. She was too proud, said there was no way she'd allow common riffraff into her home. But I could see no other way to prevent my Essene family from going under, nor for me to continue living the lifestyle to which I was accustomed, which is why it was time for my poor maman to go. Alright, Mr. D'Anjou, but the one thing I don't understand is why you had to kill her in such a grotesque way. For the pure theatrics of it, of course. Also, I was sure that dispensing of her head in the kitchen would make you pin the murder on our sultry cook. Well, I'm afraid your plan didn't work. Louis D'Anjou, you're under arrest. Louis D'Anjou, you stand trial for the murder of your mother, Marguerite. How do you plead? Guilty, Your Honor, but I did it for the survival of the D'Anjou dynasty. You committed matricide to protect your dynasty? That makes absolutely no sense. With maman refusing to turn our chateau into a bed and breakfast, we would have become destitute. I couldn't bear to see myself and my future progeny end up in the gutter like you commoners. So, Monsieur D'Anjou, you are not only a killer but also a snob to boot. For the heinous and violent murder of your own mother, I sentence you to life imprisonment. Mon Dieu, a dirty prison? I'd prefer the guillotine. Matthew, a beheading and matricide in the same case? Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought it? It just goes to show that people will do anything for money, including so-called blue bloods like Louis D'Anjou. I hope the High Commissioner will feel a bit better now that we've put his former lover's killer behind bars. And now that we've solved the murder, we can turn our attention back to why we went to Chateau Pompette in the first place, to find my brother. I'll see you guys for an American Cop in Paris 4-5. We're back. Let's start an American Cop in Paris 4-5. Matthew, now that our investigation into Marguerite D'Anjou's murder is done and dusted, we can turn our attention back to Eleonora Macaron. As Antoine Macaron's daughter, she's our best bet at figuring out my missing brother's whereabouts. Since parting with Eleonora was bungled by the murder, the only thing we can do now is head back to Chateau Pompette and see if we can find anything useful relating to her. Carrie, I've always wanted to see this beautiful chateau. Would you mind if I go there with Matthew instead of you? Sure, Hugo. It'll give me time to write up my report on the D'Anjou homicide. Just make sure to update me on your findings. Matthew, speaking of Marguerite, could you join me and my son in his office when you have a minute? Hi, Commissioner. Good to have you back with us. All right, Matthew. We'll head to Chateau Pompette once we've spoken to Jean-Philippe. Let's just take the garden party first. Look, Matthew, Eleonora's mentioned in this Celebs in the Wild newspaper column. I know this section. It shows photos of famous people who are spotted out and about in Paris. The story's all faded, but I'm sure you can work wonders with the dusting kit, Matthew. So the article says that Eleonora was at the dress rehearsal for the Shior fashion show that's taking place tomorrow. It figures that a girl of her status is allowed behind the scenes of such an exclusive event. She's with some fellow, but we can't see his face. Good idea, Matthew. We should see if Emil's technological expertise is able to discern anything from this photograph. Matthew, I wanted to apologize to you and Gautier for my drunken shenanigans at Chateau Pompette earlier today. It was highly unprofessional. Papa, you just seen a woman you once loved murdered in the most horrific manner. Becoming inebriated was completely understandable. It means a lot to hear that, especially from a stickler for rules such as you, my son, and I say that with the greatest of affection. Matthew, I know you've already helped me a great deal, but I'm afraid I must trouble you for one more personal favor. You see, when Marguerite and I were at Item, I'd gifted her a watch engraved with our initials. It will mean the world to me if I could have it to remember her by. I'm pretty certain the watch will be somewhere in her bedroom at the chateau, but I can't bear to go back in there after what happened. You can count on us, Papa. Matthew, lead the way to Marguerite's bedroom. I'll pay for a taxi since my police car is being serviced. Matthew, this glass bowl looks replete with Marguerite d'Anjou's trinkets. Let's see if the watch my father gave her is in there too. Got it. This watch from the glass bowl has M and JP engraved on it. It's got to be the one my father gifted to Marguerite d'Anjou. But drats, the face is totally smashed and it's not working. Matthew, we can't possibly give my father a broken watch. It might tip him over the edge in his current sensitive state. I know Enzo loves tinkering with watches. We should see if he can fix this up. See you guys when these two have run their courses. See you all. And we've returned. Let's get the results of the watch first from Enzo. Matthew, did I ever tell you that my grandfather was a famous watchmaker? We go visit him in Switzerland every Christmas, and he's the reason I'm obsessed with watches today. The one you sent me was a particularly stunning timepiece. Please tell us you're able to fix it, Enzo. It was just a simple question of replacing the sapphire glass of the face, tweaking the balance spring, and tightening the bezel, and the watch was as good as new. I haven't a clue what bezels and balance springs are, but this is excellent work. Merci, Enzo. Matthew, my father's going to be delighted when we hand him Marguerite's watch. Let's go. Papa, we found the watch you'd given Marguerite d'Anjou. How wonderful! It looks as pristine as the day I gifted it to her. I can't thank you both enough. Now I think you've worked hard enough and deserve to have some fun. I'm not sure. I'm still feeling a tad heavy-headed from sampling one of Enzo's cocktails at last night's party. Pah! I had 6 of those plus the wine today and I feel just fine. Anywho, it's such a lovely day that I was thinking, wouldn't it be marvelous to have a little picnic down by the river at Chateau Pompette? Matthew, you say you saw a picnic basket in the Chateau kitchen? Well, I'm sure Marguerite would want us to enjoy it. Let's all go collect the basket, and I'll pick us up some pastries on the way for extra joie de vivre. Basket. There we go. This looks like a picnic basket, all right. Let's open it, Matthew. Ooh, this basket's wonderfully fancy. It's going to be perfect for our picnic. Let's go, Matthew. Remind me to thank the Chateau chef, Matthew, because these cucumber sandwiches from her basket are simply delectable. I, for one, love the financiers. I'm afraid I may have eaten them all. Ah, son, it's good to see you enjoying yourself, and I'm happy we've had this time to spend together, and with you too, Matthew. This picnic's also helped me forget about the death of Marguerite, if only for a little while. Thanks to both of you. Matthew, your latest challenge really tested my hacking skills. Ah, oui. Tell us more, Emile. Well, when examining the photo revealed nothing, I thought that I'd try and access the security cameras at the Grand Palais where the Chior dress rehearsal was taking place. And thanks to the footage, I managed to do an identity check on the man Eleonora Mackerel was talking to in the photo. He's called Charlie Jones. Here, take a look at his picture. Mon Dieu, Matthew, do you see what I see? This Charlie Jones fellow bears a striking resemblance to our belle Carrie. Could he be your long-lost brother? Matthew, you need to talk to Carrie about this. Tout de suite. Hey Matthew, did you have any luck looking into Eleonora Mackerel? Find anything on my brother? Ahem. So we discovered that Eleonora was at the Chior fashion show dress rehearsal at the Grand Palais recently, talking to an individual called Charlie Jones. Charlie Jones? Doesn't sound very French. No, it doesn't. Anyway, we found a clear image of him on our database and, well, here he is. Wait, but no, this is my brother Cody. We also saw his resemblance to you, but we couldn't be sure. I'm in no doubt, this is definitely Cody. He even has the same mole under his right eye. I can't believe it. My brother is all grown up and alive and well. I cannot imagine how you must be feeling right now, Carrie. All I can say is that surely Eleonora saw Cody's resemblance to you when she met you. Did she deliberately keep it a secret? There's only one way to find out, and that's to ask Eleonora herself. Come on, Matthew. Eleonora, we want to talk to you about Charlie Jones. Charlie the American, the guy who works for my dad, what about him? Don't you think he looks a lot like me? Come to think of it, I do. And you're American too, how funny. You guys aren't related, are you? Actually, we think he might be my long-lost brother Cody, who ran away when he was 15. What? That's crazy! Eleonora, could you put me in touch with Cody? As you can imagine, I'm dying to see him. Ah, I wish I could help you, but I don't have his contact details. As I said, he's just one of many of my dad's lackeys, and I don't get involved in his business. Anyway, it was fun chatting, but I'm late for my blow dry. If I'm not on time, my hairdresser gives me the most contemptuous eye roll. Et plus, les amis. I can do a little bit. I can do a little bit of that too. Matthew, I must say, I'm really happy to have helped my father find closure for his former lover's death. Also, we haven't spent so much time together in eternity. It felt nice to bond with him over such a charming picnic. Speaking of family, I heard you have news about your missing brother, Carrie. Yes, I finally know what he looks like as an adult. It was as if I was looking in a mirror. We also now know that he has a pseudonym, Charlie Jones, and that he works for Antoine Macaron as suspected. We spotted Eleonora Macaron talking to Cody, but she claims not to know him very well. I'm not sure I believe her. I agree. I think there's more to their supposed acquaintance than meets the eye. Since Eleonora and Cody were seen at the dress rehearsal for tomorrow's Chior fashion show at the Grand Palais, I think they're very likely to be attending the real event. Which means we need to attend it too. Matthew, get ready to hit the front row at the fashion event of the year. Case number 5 will be released on August 6th. It's next week. Alright. That's gonna do. I'll see you guys on August 6th. See y'all soon for the next case.